There are moments in life when you realize that every relationship has an invisible boundary, a thin line between personal connection and responsibility. Most of the time, that line doesn't seem to exist. You laugh together, trust each other, stand side by side day after day. But when circumstances change, when pride, ambition, or something bigger comes into play, that line suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. And once you find yourself on opposite sides of it, you're forced to make a choice. Hold on to the bond, or step across and do what you believe must be done. It's brutal, but that's just how life works. The 2006 World Cup in Gelsenkirchen was where that line appeared in the most brutal way between Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney. They were more than just two footballers, two teammates. At that time, they were two of the brightest young talents at Manchester United. They trained together, joked around, shared pressure, and grew side by side in one of the toughest leagues in the world. Inside the dressing room, they were teammates, friends, partners chasing the same goals. But when they pulled on their national shirts, everything changed. There was no Manchester United, no Sir Alex Ferguson, no shared ambitions, only England and Portugal, only national pride. And in that environment, friendship becomes secondary. The quarterfinal between England and Portugal was not a beautiful game. It was tense, heavy, full of physical battles. Challenges came one after another, especially around Rooney. He was constantly being pulled, pushed, pressured. Ricardo Carvalho and Petit gave him no space, no comfort, no breathing room. They did exactly what defenders are supposed to do: shut down the opponent's most dangerous weapon. Rooney was just 20 years old at the time, full of energy, full of hunger, but also full of emotion. And in football, especially at the highest level, emotion can be both a strength and a weakness. In the 61st minute, everything exploded. It looked like an ordinary moment. Rooney was being held, leaned on, challenged from multiple sides. He expected a foul. The referee didn't blow the whistle. In a split second, a moment he would later describe as not thinking, Rooney stepped down on Carvalho's groin. It wasn't calculated, it wasn't cold, and it was instinct. But in football, sometimes instinct is enough to change everything. The whistle blew. Portuguese players rushed toward the referee, and among them, Cristiano Ronaldo. His buddy in United was the quickest to step forward. He didn't stay out of it. He didn't keep quiet. He actively appealed, putting pressure on the referee, calling for punishment. Rooney saw it and reacted. He pushed Ronaldo away, anger written all over his face. But by then, it was too late. Referee Horacio Elizondo reached for his pocket. Red card, no hesitation and no second chances. Wayne Rooney, the biggest hope of Three Lion, was off. And with that, England's stability began to crumble.
But if the story had ended with a red card, it would have just been another controversial moment in football history.
What truly ignited everything was something much smaller. As Rooney walked off, the camera zoomed in on Cristiano. He turned toward the Portuguese bench, and he winked. Just a wink. No words, no exaggerated celebration. Just a brief gesture. But in football, and especially under the microscope of the media, small details can carry enormous weight. In that moment, Ronaldo stopped being just a young, exciting talent in the eyes of England. He became the villain. Not only because he had been involved in the pressure that led to Rooney's dismissal, but because that wink was interpreted as provocation, as satisfaction, even as betrayal. And as a habit, pundits on English television reacted instantly. Questions were raised about sportsmanship, about honesty, about character. Steven Gerrard said he would be very disappointed if a teammate did that. Frank Lampard called it not nice. And then the media took over. Headlines exploded. Words became sharper, harsher. Ronaldo was heavily criticized, attacked, painted as cunning, manipulative, a player willing to cross lines to win. But in the middle of all that emotion, there was one question that rarely got asked clearly enough. What did Ronaldo actually do wrong there? He simply appealed to the referee, something players do every week when they believe a teammate was fouled. He reacted to an incident that, by the laws of the game, deserved a red card. And the wink? Did it really carry all the meaning people projected onto it? Years later, Rooney himself would revisit that moment with remarkable clarity. He admitted it was a red card. He admitted it was a moment of lost control. He described sitting in the dressing room, watching the rest of the game on a small TV, feeling torn, hoping England would win, yet knowing that if they did, he would miss the semi-final and final.
And if they lost, it would feel like his fault. A strange, painful mix of guilt and helplessness. And when he spoke about Ronaldo, there was no bitterness. Instead, there was understanding. If I were in his position, would I have done the same? His answer was simple. Yes, no question. If it helped his team win, he would do it, the next day, without hesitation. That realization changes the entire story. Because when you step onto the biggest stage in football, everything shifts. You no longer represent yourself. You no longer represent your club. You represent your country. And in that moment, every player, Ronaldo, Rooney, or anyone else, will do whatever it takes to win. Not because they want to hurt someone, but because their team, especially their country, cannot accept losing the big game in the biggest stage of the world. After the match, when emotions cooled down, Rooney sought Ronaldo out in the tunnel. There was no fight, no confrontation, just a short conversation. "I've got no problem with you. Enjoy the tournament. I'll see you in a few weeks." That wasn't the voice of someone who felt betrayed. It was the voice of someone who understood that at this level, football is no longer personal. And what followed proved exactly that. They returned to Manchester United. They played together again. They scored, assisted, celebrated. Inside the dressing room, they were still close. On the pitch, they became one of the most dangerous attacking duos in Europe. If that wink in 2006 had truly been betrayal, it would not have led to the success that followed. But sadly, the media didn't see it that way. They needed a character, a symbol, someone to blame and make money from that. And Cristiano Ronaldo, a 20-year-old guy, flashy, confident foreign player, fit so perfectly. The story was stretched, exaggerated, turned into a personal feud, when in reality, it never was. It wasn't Ronaldo versus Rooney. It was Portugal versus England. It was the World Cup. A stage where personal boundaries disappear and only one thing matters: winning. You might not like how Ronaldo handled it. You might feel the wink was unnecessary. But you cannot deny one thing. In that moment, he chose his team just like any player would. And maybe that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not about the wink itself. It's about how we react to it. We expect players to be loyal, respectful, controlled. But at the same time, we demand that they give everything to win. Those two things don't always go together. The night in Gelsenkirchen in 2006 showed that more clearly than anything else. One moment, one decision, one wink. And behind it, a question that football and life keeps asking us again and again. When you are forced to choose, where do you stand? With emotion
or with victory? And when that moment comes, will you have the courage to step across that invisible line, just like Ronaldo did? Deep down, you know the answer.
You will.